Hi everyone, Matt from Bachmann Trains back here again. I am joined once again with Tyler Haney. Now you've got a new title. What's your title now?
Product Development Manager.
All right. So congratulations on your promotion to product developer.
Yes, thank you very much.
Definitely much deserved. And yeah, so today we have a lot to get through, don't we?
Yes, we do. Welcome to New Model Monday Live. And this New Model Monday Live is going to be a little bit of a format change because this is going to be all about our 2024 mid-year announcements that we made this past weekend in conjunction with the NMRA National Train Show in Long Beach, California. Our colleagues Larry Harrington and David Melville were out there representing Bachmann. We want to thank everybody who came out to the show and checked out our recent releases and upcoming releases at the show. And we're going to show some more of them off today on the show and go through our entire new announcements brochure.
Should be good. So I guess without further ado, let's get started with it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So if people can't see this, let me know. But what you should be seeing right now is the front page of our mid-year announcement brochure. So we're starting off here with the cover product of our announcements, and that is the much requested return of our HO scale Baltimore, Ohio EM1.
That's correct. This is a model that originally came out in 2010 in the Spectrum line and was in the lineup until 2015. So it's making its return after 9-10 years, and it is it's fair to say it's the biggest announcement in one way or not. It's the
Absolutely.
largest HO scale steam locomotive that we've ever made, largest locomotive period, including the tender. Now, what I'm going to hold up for you right here is this is a existing sample from the first production run.
I'll just
Just look at the absolute scale of this
there we go.
2884 locomotive. 30 of these were built for the Baltimore and Ohio by the Baldwin Locomotive Works in the post-World War II years. Unfortunately, none of them made it into preservation. They were all scrapped at the end of their service life in the late 1950s.
It's
So
so tragic that happened, but we're very happy that we can at least allow modelers to represent these amazing locomotives on their layouts. In some of my
absolutely.
research on this locomotive, one of the things I found out was actually that they had planned to save one. There were plans for one of them to be sent to the Baltimore, Ohio Museum in Baltimore and to be preserved, but I guess some papers got crossed somewhere along the way, and it never made it. It instead went to the scrapper like all the others, which is just an absolute shame.
It is, but they live on today on your HO scale model railroad. They'll be returning to the line. We're looking at a 2025 delivery for these. This is the first time they're going to be available direct from the factory with DCC sound on board. In the first release, they were DCC on board with a separate cell sound module, but these will come pre-installed with Tsunami 2 sound from Soundtracks. So we're very excited about that to bring the sound of this powerful locomotive to life.
Hmm.
Give you a closer
Yeah.
look at some of the details here, all the separately applied piping and handrails and all the fine detail. One of my favorite details on this, if you can see here, is the steam pipe going from under the boiler to the front truck, if you can see that in the gap underneath the boiler.
Oh yeah.
Pan back here to show you the second set of drive wheels and the trailing truck. You can see we've got a fully detailed cab with not one, not two, but three crew figures. Hopefully you can see that there.
I never noticed that. There's
Detailed back
there's three of them
here.
back there. Huh.
Yeah, needed 3 men to operate this very powerful articulated locomotive and a very finely detailed tender to match. So there you have it. The EM1, by popular request, is back in our HO scale line. And in case you missed it, for the N scale folks out there, we've had it back in stock in N scale for a couple of months now. That also has DCC sound on board. But for those of you who have been requesting the HO scale version, we're happy to satisfy your requests.
Absolutely. And I have a couple of great pictures here, courtesy of Ken Patterson, who, as many of you probably know, has been a fantastic contributor of photography to our products over the years. And let's see, we've got a couple here for the EM1. Really just illustrates what a mammoth machine, and it just what a beautiful locomotive it is. So this is the 7609. This is one of the I believe, looking at it, this is one of the ones with the large dome style, and we have one also here, which is the 7622 with the small dome style. Now, Tyler, do you know what the significance of these dome styles are?
It was a just a modification that was made during production. The first 20 of the class built of the EM1 were built with a larger sand dome, and it was later modified to make it slightly smaller. I think retaining the same capacity. It was just a design change. And in this run, we're going to be offering two road numbers of each of both the early style larger sand dome, which also has a single beam headlight, and the later small dome, which has a dual beam headlight. So that's some extra road number specific detail on the EM1.
It's going to be a very awesome model. I know big steam is in right now. You got the return of the big boy. We've got the Challenger being restored over in Silvis in Iowa, and then we've got this fantastic model of the EM1 to represent a long departed East Coast articulated steam locomotive.
Absolutely. I see we're getting a lot of great feedback and questions already in the chat. How
Mm-hmm.
we're going to kind of try to do this is if you have any questions directly related to the model we're showing at the moment, we'll try to answer them as they come in. If we miss any, we will come to them at the end of the show, along with any general questions and requests that were asked.
Yeah, so we will have an official Q&A at the end of the show. So yeah, like Tyler said, any general questions, if you want to, we'll try and go back and scroll through, but with the amount that are coming in, feel free to write again when we're looking at the end of the show, and we'll do our best to answer them. So yeah, the EM1, that is our main front page announcement in HO scale, but we aren't stopping there. So going back to the brochure here, we're going to go to the first inside page here, which has our EMD GP38-2.
Yes, the GP38-2, which has been in the line for some time. We've had it available for the past couple of years only as a DCC ready model. And now we're doing a new run of DCC sound value on board GP38-2s. These are also going to be upgraded from the previous run of sound value in that they have the Soundtrack's economy decoder. So the latest version of our sound value package from our friends at Soundtracks. We've got 4 new road names in this release, some new road numbers, and also some brand new road names.
I do see one question that's actually a very good question about the EM1, just before we get too far away from that, which is we've got some questions about what kind of radius it can handle. So they can actually handle down to a 22-inch radius. They're, thanks to their articulated design, they can navigate curves that are a little sharper than you might expect. So as long as you have 28 or 22-inch radius curves or wider, the locomotive should do just fine.
Yeah, that's right. It's a reflects the prototype, how the articulated design made it able to navigate tighter turns than you would expect for a locomotive that size. So going back to the GP38-2s, as we were discussing before, you'll see we have 2 road names that have the non-dynamic brake, which is a new tooling option that we introduced earlier this year with the Missouri Pacific in DCC Ready. So we took the opportunity to use that tooling for 2 new road names. And kind of the highlight of this release is the Long Island Railroad number 250 in the bicentennial colors, the white and blue with the bicentennial seal on the cab. And that is made possible thanks to our newest licensing agreement with the MTA. So we're really happy to be working with the MTA. We decided to represent the Long Island Railroad as they are celebrating their 190th anniversary this year in
Yeah.
2024. And also with the 250th anniversary of the American independence coming up in 2026, we wanted to show off something patriotic as well.
Yeah. So I assume with that you're referring to the bicentennial symbol on the side of the locomotive.
That's correct.
So I
Yeah, that
have
was
a photo here of the prototype. Just the video is a little bit on the page is a little small there, so this will give you a better idea. But they had these on. I don't know if it was it just this locomotive or was it several of them that wore these graphics.
I believe it was everything. All of the GP38s that the Long Island ordered had them initially when they were delivered, or they were added soon after delivery, and those lasted for a couple of years through the late 1970s.
Yeah, it's a cool addition, and I don't think that's something we've seen in scale model form before. So personally, as a modern and I guess second generation to modern commuter modeler, I'm very excited to see these.
Absolutely. I also want to take a quick moment to give a special thanks to the Oyster Bay Railroad Museum in Oyster Bay, New York, on Long Island, right at the end of the Long Island Railroad branch up there. We visited their museum a couple months back, as you may have seen on our Facebook page, and we were spending our trip there to get some accurate paint matching to get the colors right on this GP38-2. So we want to thank all of the volunteers at the Oyster Bay Railroad Museum for their hospitality. If you're ever up that way on eastern Long Island, make sure to check out that museum. It's a very great museum with all kinds of cool Long Island Railroad equipment.
Absolutely, very cool. And I think one of my favorite parts of the museum is the fact that they have a fully operational turntable. They have these little 25-tonner switchers, and they're I believe they were setting it up when we were there, so we didn't get a chance to ride them. But what they're doing is they're hauling a caboose behind the 25-tonner, and they're taking it onto the turntable, doing a full spin, and then sending it back into the yard again. So you get a very unique experience to see what it's like to ride a turntable on an actual train.
Absolutely. They also have the crown jewel of their collection is the 460 steam locomotive number 35, which is dismantled at the moment, but they are giving that a full cosmetic restoration, and I can't wait to see that completed.
That's going to look amazing when it's done.
Yeah. So wrapping things up with the GP38-2 here, we've got a couple of freight railroad paint schemes as well. We've got the BNSF number 2040 in the current heritage-free paint scheme. That unit is with dynamic brakes. That's a very popular modern paint scheme that we're always happy to make more offerings of, the BNSF H-free.
Absolutely.
We've got another popular Class 1, the CSX, number 2742. This is in the Bright Future paint scheme. My personal favorite CSX paint scheme.
It's definitely a classic.
Yep. And then finally, we have our second road name without dynamic brakes in this release, which is the Union Pacific number 358. I believe these were former Missouri Pacific units that were repainted.
Which didn't require the dynamic brakes because they were running through some of the flattest railroads in America.
Exactly.
And what I like about this one also, which is I don't believe we've done this before in in any of our Union Pacific Jeeps in HO scale, but this has the more up to date, more modern yellow sill with the yellow reflectors rather than the more traditional red sill.
Correct. This would be the more modern paint scheme for UPs, yard switchers, and small 4-axle road switchers.
All right, so should we move into rolling stock?
Yes, we've got some brand new and some updated rolling stock variety here that we're very happy to show off, including a very unique freight car to start this off.
I love this car, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So this is our 52-foot auto carrier. This is based on a prototype that's fairly representative of various attempts at early auto rack style cars from the early 1950s or mid-1950s. This one was the prototype for this was a Frisco car, which I've actually got a prototype photo we can show here. So
Yes, the origins of these cars were originally they were automobiles would be transported by rail in boxcars, either through fitting them through in a extra large side door or through end doors. The rails kind of found, as the auto industry expanded, that was somewhat limited in the amount of automobiles they could carry, the capacity that they could carry from the automobile factories. So they started experimenting with building these multi-level decks on flat cars to carry more cars, as well as making loading and unloading easier. So the Frisco was really one of the very first examples of what paved the way for the modern auto racks that you see on today's railroads.
yeah, and what amazes me about these cars, or actually about the history of the auto rack, is the fact that before these cars, they really didn't have anything for carrying cars other than 40-foot boxcars or 50-foot boxcars, and they would try and get those automobiles through the wider doors on some of those cars. And I just can't imagine being the dealer or delivery driver who had to try and navigate those and hope they wouldn't scratch the side of the car.
Mm-hmm.
So these were definitely a massive advancement from that, and it's not something you see too much in model form. So we're happy to bring this to our line and fill a gap in the history of auto carrying trains.
Yeah, it's a very cool car, and what I really like about it is the amount of potential it gives you with modeling and how you want to operate this car right out of the box. Because as you can see in the illustration, this comes with four brand newly tooled sedans, which are fully detailed with separate wheels, window glazing. We don't have a sample to show of this car at all yet. It is still in the design phase, but this is a concept render that we were able to put together for the brochure. So we've got four sedans, very evocative of late 1940s through the 1950s, era appropriate for these cars, these auto carriers. And those cars will be removable, so you can use them as scenery items on your layout, and you can change out the cars that the auto carrier is carrying if you choose.
Yep, these should be able to handle definitely 187 scale cars, but they may be able to take some 164 scale cars as well if that's your thing. Um, so yeah, so Tyler, I think did you mention the road names that we're offering this in yet?
Yes, for road names, we took a little bit of artistic license with some of these road names, where we don't have evidence that they ever had an auto carrier of this size, the 52-foot length, but they did have open bi-level auto carriers of longer lengths. So we chose some of the most popular, most eye-catching road names for this release. We have the Pennsylvania, New York Central, Chesapeake, and Ohio, and then we do have the Frisco to represent the origins of this car.
Yeah, these are all very cool paint schemes, and that will look at home on pretty much any transition era consist. So yeah, we're really looking forward to these. So below that, we have another new addition to our freight car range, and that's in addition to a car which we've had in the line already, but it comes with something new here, which is something that we've had a lot of questions and requests for. Um, which is this is our 52-foot center beam flat car, now with lumber load. The flat car here, actually, I'll show you here. I have a sample. So this is our 52-foot flat car or center beam car as it currently arrives. Comes with the center beam stakes there. It's got the bulkhead ends there, and got this really nice wood finish on the. See if the light can pick it up there on the deck there. But obviously, you don't want to just run a train of these empty. That is something you can do. They do run empty fairly frequently, but obviously, their main purpose is to carry lumber loads. So what we're doing with this is we're offering 4 new cars, new road names, new paint schemes, and new road numbers, and we're offering them with a simulated wrapped lumber load on the car, which will be removable.
Yeah, that's right. It really adds a lot to this car, adding some extra value to include the load right from the start. I've always found those center beam flat cars with the wrapped lumber loads to be very visually striking, especially when you've got the contrast of a darker colored car or a colored center beam car that has the white wrapped lumber load with the logos on it. So, really looking forward to receiving samples of these. We've got four road names here. To give some a little bit of context, you may be familiar with the larger center beam cars that were purpose built for carrying lumber. These cars were based on prototypes that were built by Canadian National and BC Rail, as well as a few private lumber companies. They took existing flat cars, added bulkheads if they did not already come equipped with bulkheads, and then added the center stakes to convert them especially for lumber service. So to kind of represent the private owners who would have these converted cars, we've got Bennett Lumber Products, a lumber company based in Idaho with a very distinctive light blue paint job on that car. We've got Canadian National, represent another one of these original owners. Got a Northern Pacific, which is one of the existing road names of this car that comes without the load, so now we have an option with the load as well. And my personal favorite here is the Union Pacific in the
This
classic
is a nice
umber
one.
yellow. Yeah, you've got the red lettering with the cushion load. It's a very distinctive, good-looking car.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these. As somebody who has a lumber industry on my layout, I'm sure I'm going to be able to find a use for all of them.
That's right.
All right, so moving into passenger cars now. This is, again, some cars that we've had a lot of requests for and we're happy to deliver on. We are introducing some new additions to our Siemens Venture series. These are, for anyone who's not familiar with the Siemens Ventures, they're the latest design of passenger car being used in North America right now. Currently, they're seeing use on Amtrak state-supported routes, such as in the Midwest out of Chicago and in Central California as well. What we've got here is we've got four additions to our Amtrak Midwest series. We already brought out the coach car in four road numbers last year, which is I would say it's shipping now, but I think it's just about shipped now. They were the demand was very high for those, so expect to see another run in the future. But we're adding to that line with the business and coach married pairs. Now, Tyler, you want to kind of take us through a little bit about what that means? And I think you have some samples to show too, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to show you, for those folks who are not familiar or just need a refresher, here's the initial release for Amtrak Midwest, the coach class cars. Very sharp paint scheme, matches the SC44 that we've had for a few years now. So how Amtrak Midwest, in cooperation with the state agencies, chose to order these cars, they have a couple different car types. This is what's referred to internally as the 1A coach, which is a self-contained coach with traditional knuckle couplers on either end. So what we're offering now with the married pairs, these cars are designed to be semi-permanently coupled together, and how they are configured on Amtrak Midwest is some cars, one half of the married pair is coach class, like I just showed you, and then the other half are the business class cars. So I have engineering samples of both of the married class cars right here. Here you can see the car B, the coach 1B. Very similar looking to the 1A coach class cars. The main difference, as I turn this 1B car around, on the prototype these cars have an open gangway rather than a solid doors on the end. Now you'll see here we did fill in the gangway on the model. The reason we did that was to avoid issues with dust getting inside the car and causing interference with the track-powered lighting. But here's your 3A business class married pair car A. And you put these two cars together, makes a married pair, and these cars are designed to semi-permanently stay coupled together in the consist. Now, how we're offering these cars, they will come pre-installed with the EasyMate Mark II knuckle coupler as you see here. We're also going to be offering a close coupler, which also came with the 1A single coach cars, which will have the effect of bringing the connection slightly closer together, so the diaphragms are almost touching, and it more closely replicates how these cars are designed to stay connected together. And we'll also be offering a semi-permanent drawbar to connect these cars as well. So plenty of options to operate these cars realistically.
And just one thing to note on these as well is they are, while the real ones come in these semi-permanently coupled married pairs, we're offering these individually. So, if for whatever reason you just want to run one of these cars in a consist with your coach cars, you will be able to do that. You'll be able to set up your Midwest consist pretty much however you want to represent it on your layout.
Yes, exactly. And you can build the train to its full length at your own pace. I do want to make a note here, since you were saying that the cars had arrived. The previous run of the Venture cars, as well as the Via Rail Canada cars, they did sell out pretty quickly after they arrived in our warehouse. However, we have reordered these cars, and they are going to be back in stock in 2025. And also, for those of you who have been asking about the Via Rail Canada cab car, which is the last car needed to complete the set, we've been hard at work testing that car. It's the first time we've offered a passenger car with DCC and sound on board. We've been working with TCS to get the best possible sound out of the cab car. We've had a few setbacks, but I think we're on track now to get that into production, and that will also arrive in either winter 2024 or 2025 around the same time as the restock of the Via cars. But that's not all. In addition to the Via cars and the Amtrak Midwest cars, as you just mentioned, we've got Amtrak San Joaquin's joining the Venture car family.
And we know we've had a lot of requests for the Californian cars, so I know personally I'm very excited to see these cars come into our line, and it's just such a cool paint scheme on these cars.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful colors provided to us by our friends at Amtrak. Very distinctive paint scheme. You'll see we have 4-row numbers in this initial release for the San Joaquin. They are all coach class cars. We've got 3 intermediate cars and 1 end coach, which is directly behind the SC44 Charger in these trains. That's the end car.
And I believe that's also the ADA coach for level boarding, right?
That is correct. We don't have samples yet of the San Joaquin cars. They are in the tooling phase or design phase. They have some similarities with the Midwest and Via cars, but they also have unique details as far as window and door arrangements and vestibules. So we're making sure we're getting all the details specific to each service that operates Seapan's Venture cars, with road name specific exterior details and class specific interiors.
As I see this this series of cars grow, it just makes me more and more tempted to start modeling some state-supported Amtrak services.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have another new passenger car announcement. This one, rather than being the absolute up-to-date, this is turning the clock back quite a bit to the early 1900s. And as it's named, this is the 1900s era 60-foot passenger car. Now we don't have any samples of this yet. We're fairly early on in the design phase here for these, but we're pretty excited to bring these cars to market. We've had some people ask if these are going to be similar or based on our existing old-time passenger cars in HO. This is not the case for these cars. These are actually going to be completely newly tooled cars, and we're really looking forward to again bring a car to market that hasn't really had enough recognition in the HO scale market.
Yeah, that's correct. To help you folks visualize, here is the old-time passenger cars that Matt mentioned. Now imagine this is a completely brand new car that's about 10, 15 scale feet longer, and you've got these 1900 zero passenger cars. These cars came about at kind of a transition period for passenger rolling stock in America. These shorter 50-foot cars were being phased out, but at the same time, wooden passenger cars were starting to fall out of style in favor of steel-bodied heavyweight passenger cars. So these cars were built from the late 1890s up until about 1910, and they kind of fall out of favor with railroads. But they were still in use in some cases all the way up into the 1950s. The Boston and Maine used them up until the 1950s in some of their branch line passenger services. And for those of you who are from our neck of the woods in Pennsylvania, you're going to recognize the background photograph in the brochure there. And we are probably very familiar with the Strasburg Railroad. I can say that these cars were designed in part from measurements and photo references that we took at the Strasburg Railroad, which is one of the road names we're offering in this initial release. So for you Strasburg Railroad fans out there, I think you're going to be very happy with these cars once we're able to show you a sample.
Absolutely, and these will actually be a great companion to our Strasburg Railroad 44 tonner that actually is shipping to stores now.
Yes, absolutely. And we've got three other period-appropriate road names here to complement Strasburg. We've got the Pennsylvania Railroad, the New York Central and Hudson River, which of course is the early name for the later New York Central system, and the Southern Pacific. Well, in this initial run, we're going to be doing coach cars with two road numbers each, and who knows what the future may hold as far as other car types.
Absolutely, and just a note on the Strasburg Railroad. I think it's worth mentioning for anybody who may not be too familiar with it is, as well as just being a tourist railroad that's in operation today. It really was it was a leader in the tourist railroad movement, and that they're recognized as one of the first railroads to operate in that fashion in the U.S. and could in part be considered the savior of many other railroads through other groups that were inspired by them. So we're also very happy to bring some cars to the market that represent this very important era in American tourist railroading.
Yeah, I might have to get some myself to run behind a Baldwin 460 or 280 that we have in our line. Would be very area appropriate for those locomotives.
Absolutely. So we also have a new train set announcement in HO scale. Well, I wouldn't say it's a totally new train set, but a reissue with a new look, and that is our
favorite.
What's that?
A returning favorite.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we know a lot of people are very happy with these and may have been a little alarmed when they picked up our catalog this year and saw that they weren't featured. Well, that's because we had plans for them, and that is the McKinley Explorer train set, the Alaskan Land Cruise train. This is an officially licensed set by Holland America Line, and it represents the train in its current form, which actually has a new paint scheme. Many of you will probably be familiar with our McKinley Explorer cars that we've been offering for years and years in the Bachmann line, going back to when they ran the full domes, the Bud full domes rather than the Colorado rail car ultra domes that they have now. In 2019 they came out with a new paint scheme, which they've been gradually adding to their fleet, and this train set is representative of that new look that they have. And in addition to that, the GP40 locomotive also comes in the updated Alaska Railroad paint scheme, which is the first time we've offered this paint scheme in a set.
Yeah, it's a very sharp-looking new look for the train. I really like having the unified look of the darker blue and yellow between the Alaska locomotives and the cars. This set has a little bit of a personal, sentimental feeling for me too. 1999, when I was 2 years old, that was the very first HO scale train I received for Christmas. Me and my baby brother Ryan got it. Of course, we were a little bit young for it at the time, so my dad ended up spending a lot more time playing with it. that was my first HO scale train set, my first Bachmann train, and all those years later, here I am now, as the product development manager at Bachmann. So it's very cool to see that still going, and to have been responsible for designing this latest incarnation.
Now, when you had the McKinley Explorer 1999, I believe that would have come with the Bud full domes, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. So the Colorado rail cars are just a little note on these cars. These are very cool cars. This is what the train is made up of predominantly these days. These are actually both the longest and the tallest passenger rail cars operating in North America. They have, I think they're taller than some double stack trains, so there's a limit to where they can be operated in the country as a result of that. But they're very cool cars. The models are fully modeled inside and out, so you've got the seating and all the appropriate furnishings on the inside, and you've got the prototypically accurate exterior. It's hard to tell on the video here on the page, but there are actually two different body styles. There's one that has just a gangway door, and then there's the second one here has an open platform on the back, just like the real cars do. So yeah, we're very happy to bring this train back to the line with this new and refreshed look. And just as the previous iterations of it came, it's going to arrive with a nice 63 by 45 foot oval of 22-inch radius tracks, so it'll have no problems negotiating those curves.
Yeah, very cool cars, very distinctive. It's a great looking set that we're looking forward to bring back in the line. I do see a question here about if there will be expansion cars sold for the set. We don't have any immediate plans. It's something that we'll consider as we're planning out our next year's releases.
Absolutely. We've got the two cars that are in the set. I believe they're named Eklutna and Talkeetna. I'm probably butchering those names. But there are other named cars as well, so it's certainly a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving into our Thomas & Friends line here. We've got some new announcements here as well. We've got a couple of new HO scale locomotives. These are both, obviously, as you can tell, they're based on the British Railways Class 08, which is the same as Diesel and Paxton. These are a couple of additions for other characters with faces. Excuse me. The first one here being Sydney, who is a resident of the island of Sodor. And then we also have the mainland diesel, which is in the series, it's portrayed as the locomotive type that interchanges cars with the island of Sodor when they bring trains back to the mainland in the UK. So we're pretty excited about bringing these to the line. We've had requests for Sydney for a number of years now, so we're happy to deliver them. And mainland diesel, we just thought was a very cool addition, and it's just another locomotive that you can expand your Island of Sodor collection with. In rolling stock, we have a few new additions as well. We have our flat wagon with diesel fuel load. You may recognize the flat wagon from other uses such as the paint cans and the log load, but we're bringing it here with a new look, a new paint scheme, and diesel fuel. I guess you call them gallon drums on it, which is authentic to the series. We also have the tar tank. This is again another car that we know has been very, very highly requested to come back to the line. We're bringing it back, but we're making it a little different to the previous iteration. The previous one was representative of how the car looked in what the fans would refer to as the model era. And this new version of it has a slight decoration difference to replicate how the cars appeared in the CGI era. We also have a China clay wagon. This is a plank wagon, a red plank wagon, which is going to come with a brand new load to represent the China clay quarried in the island of Sodor. So new additions to the line. We're very happy to continue to expand this line, and yeah, we're excited to see what all you Sodor modelers out there do with these. Definitely feel free to send us photos of them on your layouts when you get them.
Yeah, as somebody who grew up watching Thomas and Friends, and that was another factor in me, starting my lifelong love of trains. I always fondly remember the classic episode where James crashes into the tar tankers. So that's my favorite out of these Thomas announcements. And of course, we'll be discussing them, or Doug Blaine will be discussing them in more detail on a future Thomas Tuesday live stream of Train World.
Yes, he will. So moving into our Prozis category. So Prozis, we are the U.S. distributor for their products. These are a few new announcements that we've added to the line. Tyler, you want to talk about these at all?
Sure. For those who are not familiar with Prozis, they've got all kinds of very unique products for model railroads. We've got a nice mix of their products here. You've got some scenery items, you've got some building kits, and you've got some tools. They really offer something for everybody. You've got the motorized drawbridge kit, which I think is a very impressive. Just the fact that something on that scale is being offered. An 8-show scale operates, lifts and lowers. These kits are made primarily out of laser cut wood, so assembly is required. But once they are together, they make for very impressive statement pieces on your layout. Next one down, we have the mini bar clamps to help assemble. I think you can actually see there in the insert photo. It looks like they're being used to assemble the drawbridge. These can be used to help hold parts together on your building kits and make gluing them together and setting them in place easier. We've got the 1950s billboards kits. These are very cool accessories here. I mean, all of them you see here, there's 10 different designs and they're all included in this one pack. So it's very easy to populate your layout with these very cool looking 3D billboards, which have some very nice 1950s style advertising illustrations. And then finally,
these are very cool.
Yeah, and then finally the 2-stall steam air engine house. You can see it's got a very European looking steam locomotive coming out of it in that render, but I think it would fit right in on a American layout as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, architecture like this was common, especially on the East Coast in the early 1800s as railroading was developed, and a lot of them, such as those found on the B&O Railroad and other railroads of that era, lasted well through the transition and into the second generation era.
Yeah. Yeah, so always cool to see what Prozis is coming out with. We've had a relationship with them for several years now, and we're happy to keep introducing more of their products to an American audience.
Absolutely.
I believe that wraps things up for HO scale.
It does. So should we move into your scale?
Absolutely, the superior scale, N scale.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. All right, so first one, something again that we've had a lot of people requesting, and we've been. I think we've been getting requests for this on social media and through email on an almost weekly basis. So especially in the last few weeks, it's been hard not to spill the beans on this, so to speak. But we're very happy to bring back the GE 44-ton switcher in N scale.
Yeah, it's a. I've got a sample here of the previous production run. Fits in the palm of your hand. It's honestly, I think, one of the most impressive models we've ever done. Just to get that small of a locomotive in a smaller scale, and to have DCC on board, and it's again been something that we've gotten a lot of requests to reintroduce. So it's coming back into our line once again. We'll have DCC on board, and we've got some new road names and new paint schemes in this release. We've got the Burlington route, number 9103. It's the first time we've offered a Burlington 44-tonner in any of our scales, and it's a very sharp-looking paint scheme with the black and gray angled stripes with the red lining. Very happy with how the paint scheme for that one turned out. Got a favorite, the Pennsylvania Railroad, which we offered in the first release of the 44-tonner and N scale. This is going to be a little bit of a updated paint scheme. Can't see it there in this view. This one will not have the hazard stripes on the front of the pilots, so a little bit of a cleaner look. As far as I could tell in my research, I don't think there was any particular pattern to when the Pennsylvania modified the paint schemes on these locomotives. I think it was just done as needed, and there was a variety of paint schemes used on each of their 44 tonners. But the 9339 is a locomotive that is preserved today at the Walkersville Southern in Maryland. We'll talk a little bit about the icons you're seeing in the brochure towards the end. The little P icon there next to the 9339, the Pennsylvania illustration, that indicates that that locomotive is preserved.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, preserved, but also preserved in an iteration of the same paint scheme that we're offering it in. So what that will mean for somebody who's browsing our catalog and they see that, it means that they can that model will be appropriate for running it in the era that paint scheme was originally conceived in, but it would also be appropriate for running on a modern layout as well.
Absolutely. And then down at the bottom of the page, we've got the two new additional paint schemes available for the first time in N scale on the 44 tonner, the Santa Fe number 462, the zebra stripe as it is nicknamed, and the Western Maryland number 75, another preserved unit that I believe is in Michigan, correct?
It is, yeah, a little far away from home territory, but hey, it's preserved and it's still wearing Western Maryland colors.
Very cool. So the 44 tonner, another very popular request that we're happy to bring back.
Absolutely. So in rolling stock and N scale, we've got a pretty cool product coming back to the line here, and a very interactive one as well. And that's our 250-ton steam crane and boom tender. Now, it's not going to just come back as it was in the past. Now, Tyler, you've got a sample here of the previous run. So show us, first of all, what this thing can do, and also what's going to be different about this new run.
Yes, I do. So I'll hold them up here. Here's the boom car, first of all, to support the crane as it was being moved between job sites. And here is the 250-ton steam crane. Cranes like this, were originally steam-powered. Many of them were later converted to diesel. In most cases, the only real difference you could see in the exterior would be the exhaust stack would be chopped down a little bit. So it would be very easy to modify these to represent when these cranes were converted to diesel as well. So the big changes that are going to be from the previous release, you can see here as an older model, these have truck-mounted couplers. So they're going to be updated to body-mounted couplers. We're also going to be lowering the ride height on this boom car to make it a little more realistic. But I think it's a very, solid model as it stands right now. I like the little tie load on the end of the boom car. Yeah, some truss rods, separately applied truss rods. The crane is definitely the main attraction, though. The cool thing about this crane is you can use it as is, just hauling it around your layout or on static display. Or if you're the kind who likes to get some extra play value out of your trains, you can insert this little knob, and you can actually raise and lower the crane hook and extend it.
I love that, because not only, like you said, you can run them in a train, but then you can also simulate maintenance scenes where it might be helping to lay track, or the derailment scenes where it's lifting cars back on the rails. The possibilities are really endless.
Yeah.
And we've got some cool paint schemes for this as well. So we've got Maintenance Away Gray, which is just a standard maintenance paint scheme. It doesn't pertain to any particular railroad. So if you want to run it with your railroad, and that doesn't align with the other paint schemes that we have, this is the perfect car to use for that. And it's very prototypical as well. A lot of these cars didn't necessarily have the markings or the logos for the railroads that they operated for. But for ones that did, we've chosen 3 here that are Actually, very vibrant prototypes. We've got Pennsylvania Railroad. We've got it's got the black crane, and it's got the yellow boom car, very distinctive colors. We've got the
Yes, it'll
Santa
be.
Fe here.
Just wanted to interject. It'll be more or less what you're seeing here. It's a very, very sharp looking paint scheme, so we figured, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
And you know what? Pennsylvania Railroad is always a favorite.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got Santa Fe in a very striking blue and yellow, kind of akin to their diesel locomotive freight scheme. And then we've got Union Pacific in green, black, and silver, which is again going to be a very striking scheme. And I believe I have a prototype image of the Santa Fe one that I can bring up here. So that gives you an idea. It's just a very striking, very cool looking car. So, moving on from that, we're into passenger cars. And Tyler, you want to introduce these cars? I know I've been doing a lot of the introductions.
Yeah, no problem. This is something that we don't have a sample of on hand, but the N-scale old-time passenger cars, which we had in separate sales some years ago and have as of late had them in a few ready-to-run sets, but they're making their return to separate sale. And this time we've got a newly tooled old-time baggage car to complement the existing coach and combine. As I was showing earlier with the HO car, these would have been built and in use primarily from about 1860 onwards, kind of falling out of use by the time of the 20th century. We've got 4 very popular road names for each car type. The Baltimore, Ohio, in the very classy royal blue colors. Pennsylvania Railroad, Tuscan with the yellow lining, very sharp paint scheme. Central Pacific and Union Pacific to represent the 2 railroads at the Golden Spike meeting.
And I don't believe have we offered cars in this version of the Central Pacific scheme before?
We have not. And there's a kind of a fun backstory to that. The paint scheme on these cars, with a little bit of artistic license, was inspired by a car that was recently rescued from demolition. It had been stored in the Southern Pacific Depot, dated back to about 1876 in California. And it was saved from destruction and is now preserved in the California State Railroad Museum. So that's represented by the coach number 12 there. So that is a new paint scheme, and we also have a Union Pacific. It's the first time we've offered those cars in red, which we color photography is obviously hard to come by from this time, but we were able to refer to some historic accounts and some black and white photos to get what we think is a pretty good match for that color. And just like the crane and boom that we just showed you, these cars are going to be upgraded for the first time with body-mounted easy make couplers.
Yeah, I love that royal blue scheme. It's too small to see on here, but the fact that it has the Washington, Philadelphia, New York, it's written on the side. It's just a very cool car, and maybe I'm biased because we're here in Philadelphia, but it's just a very cool piece of history, and it's going to be cool to see this available in our N-scale line.
Yeah, it sure is. We also chose these road names to complement the previously announced N-scale 19th century 460 locomotive, which is something that we've gotten a lot of requests for updates about, and fortunately we don't have anything that we can concretely show you at this time. It is still in the design phase, as I had mentioned on a previous stream. The challenge has been to get a locomotive that can fit the motor inside the boiler, which is why we wanted to offer a different design from the previous N-scale 440. But our engineering team is hard at work, and hopefully we'll have something to show for you sample-wise by the end of the year.
Looking forward to it. Just another note on these cars, you'll see there's 2 cars with P's on them here to designate preserved. The Central Pacific 12 is the one that Tyler described as being the inspiration for the Central Pacific paint scheme on these. And the Pennsylvania Railroad one is preserved right here in Pennsylvania at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania.
That's correct.
So, uh, as you can see on the opposite side of the page here, we've also got some Thomas and Friends announcements in N scale. This is one that we know a lot of you have been looking forward to, and probably guessed that this was the next one coming in terms of steam locomotives, and that's Henry. It's the logical next in line after Gordon, which is currently under development and slated for delivery to retailers this fall. But Henry is we're going to be starting development on him soon, and we'll be taking you along. I'm sure Doug Blaine will be taking you along the way as we go through the different phases, and we're just very excited to bring it to the line. We also have some rolling stock announcements. We have the LMS style 20-ton brake van. This is a brake van that's seen in quite a few episodes of more recent episodes of CGI era Thomas and Friends episodes. So we're again, this is a kind of a staple to the series that we figured should be a part of the line. And of course, we also have somewhat of a surprise announcement, which is we have Henrietta's sister Hannah, which is she's the same style of car, but she has a different face and certainly a very different personality. So we've modeled her face correctly on this. So she's not just a repaint of Henrietta, and yeah, she's as you can tell here, she's pretty far along in the development process, enough that we were able to get a painted sample photo here. So she'll be hopefully hitting retailer shelves in the not too distant future.
Yeah, these are very cool additions to the N-scale Thomas line. You can't go wrong with Henry. He's a classic fan favorite character. And the 20-ton brake van and Hannah, I believe this is the first time we've offered an item in our N-scale Thomas and Friends line that is not available in HO or large scale. So something unique for the N-scale Thomas fans out there.
Absolutely. So in N-scale accessories, we're also introducing something that has been requested, and we know we have our turntable that we've had in the line for some time now. Well, what's it been missing? It's been missing a roundhouse. So we are bringing our roundhouse to N-scale. Now, what we have here in the brochure is just a representation. This is the HO scale roundhouse. So it's not going to look exactly the same to this, but it's probably going to take some design cues from it. Is that right, Tyler?
That's correct. We did actually edit the HO's photo a little bit to show some of the detail changes that we're looking to make. But yes, this was a highly requested model. We had a lot of people telling us, they liked our N-scale turntable, but there were not any other roundhouses on the market existing that fit the track spacing on the turntable. So we decided to rectify that with a all-new N-scale roundhouse based on what we're offering right now in HO scale.
It's going to be a very cool model, and one of my favorite things about these roundhouses is they're just a great place to showcase your locomotives. Especially if you have you don't have space for a large sweeping yard or fueling terminal or anything like that. You can have them all lined up there in the roundhouse, and it's a very cool model.
It absolutely is. Well, all right. I want to take a moment here as we've just hit the 1 hour mark on this stream, which I believe is a record for New Model Monday Live. So we want to thank you all for joining us, and those of you who have been here from the beginning for sticking with us. I think we've waited long enough. We still want to cover the rest of the brochure, but how about Matt, do you want to take a little intermission here and answer some of the questions that have been accumulating?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to head to the top of the chat here and answer some of these questions as I am scrolling down here.
I'll do the same, because I know we've had a lot of people reaching out and asking questions, which is absolutely fantastic. And like we always say, we will try and get to as many of these questions as we can, but we may not get to all of them now. We'll be going back on social media tomorrow and taking a look to see if there are any that we missed, and we'll do our best to answer everything that we can.
Mm-hmm. Got a question here, which I think we can kind of take the opportunity to give a little bit of trivia here. Would Bachmann ever consider making a die-cast model? As a matter of fact, a lot of our existing models already are die-cast, particularly our steam locomotives in HO scale. The EM1, which I had just showed you earlier, that is has a die-cast spoiler. It's very heavy, solid, gives it great pulling power. Some of our more recent releases, like our J3A Hudson, also have a die-cast spoiler, as well as the upcoming Dreyfus. I believe most, if not all, of our O and 30 locomotives are die-cast. Many of our large-scale steam locomotives.
And
So I'm not
our
sure.
Williams
Well,
steam locomotives as well.
yes, all of our Williams are die-cast metal. So I'm not sure which scale exactly you were referring to, or if it was just a general request. We try to offer diecasts where it is cost effective and where it makes sense, especially with these steam locomotives to help with the pulling power.
Let
Let's
me
see.
see what we have here. Now, one thing that we always see in these comment sections are requests for new products. Obviously we'd love to make every locomotive a rolling stock item ever made, and that is sincere. We really would. But obviously, we have to. We can't do everything all at once. We have to pick and choose. So for any new suggestions here for new products, we're not going to necessarily be able to answer whether we're going to be able to make them individually. But what I will say is we'll certainly keep your suggestions under consideration, and if it's viable, we absolutely will look into doing it.
Mm-hmm. One thing we're not quite ready to launch yet at the moment, but something we're discussing and planning for the near future is to offer a online customer survey to see what our customers and Bachmann fans are most requesting for road names, new models, returns of previously released models. That's something we're hoping to launch in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that.
So I'm seeing a question here about the 611, whether we will ever do a Norfolk and Western 611 set like we did with the Daylight. So we actually had a set in the line a number of years ago, one of our Spectrum sets, which came with the Norfolk and Western J class and a consist of heavyweight cars. Now you may still be able to find one of those out there if you do a little digging online. I know a few of them are still floating around out in the retailers out there. But if you don't have any luck with that, we are coming out with now they're going to be a separate sale, it won't be a set, but we are coming out with Norfolk and Western passenger cars in HO scale to complement our Class J locomotive. So even if you're not able to source one of those sets, these cars should be hitting the shelves next year at retailers, and they'll make a great complementing consist to go with your J class, your 611. So any updates on the Dreyfus Hudson? Tyler, you want to take this one because this is a project I know you've been working on.
Yes, nothing to report on the Dreyfus Hudson at the moment. We've had our pre-production engineering sample for a while now. I don't have it on me at the moment. It was at the on display at the National Train Show and is in transit back to Bachmann HQ. But hopefully, in the next month or two, possibly on the next New Model Monday Live, we'll be able to show some painted samples.
Looking forward to seeing those for sure. Let's see.
Saw a few requests, a very specific request for the Florida East Coast U.S. Sugar number 148462 Light Pacific, which is a recently restored steam locomotive that's operating down in Florida on the property of U.S. Sugar, running the Sugar Express excursion train. Like Matt said, we appreciate all of your requests. We don't have any current plans for number 148, but you never know what the future may hold.
I'm going to give a similar answer to a lot of these questions. I'm thinking about future variations of and paint schemes for the Siemens Charger locomotives. Again, we're paying close attention to all the railroads that these locomotives are winding up on, and the different variations that are being produced, and we're keeping, let's just say we're keeping tabs on them.
Matt, I've seen a couple of requests for a particular Thomas and Friends character that people have been waiting to see. I don't think we're ready to show him tonight, but I think we are
Oh,
very.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Mhm. All we
Uh,
can say is, like we mentioned before, stay tuned for the next Thomas Tuesday live stream.
yeah, you may have seen on our social media. May or may not have teased something fairly recently. So yeah, if you're looking for information on this particular character, then you definitely want to be a part of the next Thomas Tuesday.
Hmm. Uh, Speaking of Thomas, we have a question. Any new Thomas and Friends train sets coming out this year? In N scale, we have Emily's passenger set, which will be coming out, we believe, by the end of the year, which includes Emily and her two coaches. We also have, coming back to our large scale line, our Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle set, which will for the first time come pre installed with DCC sound on board inside Thomas the Tank Engine. The large scale set, I believe, is also on track to ship in 2024, and I'm going to double check our shipping schedule to confirm that. But those are our two upcoming Thomas and Friends sets.
I'm seeing a question here about whether we plan to produce additional vehicles. I assume for the auto carrier, such as cars from the 70s or today, to add to the auto carrier. Not something we've discussed necessarily, but it's certainly not impossible. It's not a bad idea at all.
Have a question about if we can get the SC44 Charger to match the Amtrak San Joaquin's venture cars, and we know it's a obvious conclusion to reach and a very common request. The matching charger for those cars has been held up for a while due to licensing issues. We are working on trying to find a solution for that, but we cannot release the matching charger at this time until we have that license secured.
Not a question, but I've got a hello from Argentina. That's one of the awesome things about this hobby is it brings people together from all over the world. Let's see.
I have a question for Strasburg locomotives to match the Strasburg Rail passenger cars. As mentioned, we have their 44 tonner, which was formerly in on the Strasburg Railroad, which is now at the Walkersville Southern, the number 33, which is now in stock and shipping to retailers. As far as steam locomotives, we'd love to do a Strasburg steam locomotive. At the moment, we don't have anything that, tooling-wise, that is an exact match for Strasburg locomotives, but it's something we can consider for the future. If we do a Strasburg locomotive, we want to do it right because we know how passionate Strasburg Railroad fans are.
Absolutely. I do see a question here. Will we ever see the Alaska Railroad, the updated Alaska Railroad scheme on a separate sale engine? I believe that paint scheme is available on separate sale. Is it in our line right now, Tyler?
It is not in HO scale at the moment.
Okay.
We do have it on the N scale GP40
Okay.
for N scale. We also have matching Alaska caboose in N scale.
And it has
But
been available in the past in HO. So you may be able to find one out there. Let's see. What do you think? Should we should we finish off here? We've been keeping these ON30 and large scale modelers waiting for a pretty long time now.
Yes, we have. Let's finish off the new announcements brochure here, and then we'll come back and answer some more questions before we sign off.
All right, sounds good. So, navigate back over here. Here we are in ON30 scale. Now, this is an announcement that another one that we've been pretty excited about because we know there's been a lot of demand for returning one of our industrial and logging type locomotives to our line in ON30, and we're happy to say that the 14-ton two-truck Heisler is coming back into stock with brand new paint schemes, some improved mechanics, and the inclusion of Tsunami 2 sound, just like the EM1 as well.
Yes, that's correct. We know you ON30 fans out there are a big fan of the logging geared locomotives that we've done in the past. And the Heisler locomotive, it's about time to bring it back. As Matt mentioned, this will be the first time it has Soundtrack's Tsunami 2 pre-installed. This also has metal gears upgraded from the previous release, which will help make for a more reliable drivetrain. Heisler locomotives were built primarily at the Heisler Locomotive Works, but this particular design, the 14-ton two-truck, was developed under license using the Heisler drivetrain technology by the Stearns Company in Erie, Pennsylvania. And here is, again, an example from the previous production run. You can see it's got no road name on it, some white lining. We will be offering a painted unlettered Stearns Heisler without the white striping to put your real life or freelance road name of your choice on the locomotive. Give you a good view of the real working drivetrain. Always admired how these geared locomotives, our team designed them to operate exactly like the real thing.
That it's a credit to the late great Lee Riley.
That's right. You can also see all of the separate detail, the boiler piping, the cab interior. It's just a beautiful model that we're happy to be bringing back.
Absolutely. And you mentioned your fantasy or prototypical road name as well. That's another one of the new things about this release is we're for the first time actually we're offering authentic prototypical road names that this particular style of Heisler actually operated with.
Mm-hmm. We've got the A.W. Stevens Lumber Company, the Glen Union Lumber Company. I believe both of these were headquartered in California. And Matt, I believe do you have the prototype image of the Glen Union?
Yeah, let me bring that back up.
Yeah.
I think actually in my research for this, Glen Union actually was in Pennsylvania.
Okay, my mistake then. But it's as you can see, that was actually it was used in an advertisement by the Stearns Company for their Heisler locomotives. And finally, we've got the Pacific Coast Borax Company number 2 with the nickname Francis on the cab. Very cool looking Heisler locomotive. So
Yeah,
very happy to be bringing one of these beautiful locomotives back into the ON30 line.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing what that Tsunami 2 sounds like on them.
Mm-hmm.
So also in ON30 scale, we've got some rolling stock announcements. We have a new addition to our stock car range. We haven't had the stock car in ON30 for a number of years now, but we're bringing it back with a little bit of modification. We're adding the animated stock car functionality to it, which is something that we've already done in HO scale, N scale, and in large scale, and it's been very popular in those scales. So we figured why should we leave ON30 out? Let's add this to our ON30 line.
Absolutely. Full disclosure, we recognize this is not going to be every ON30 modeler's cup of tea. It's a little bit on the whimsical side, but we've seen plenty of examples of whimsical ON30 layouts out there as well. You've got tropical layouts, Christmas layouts. So this is kind of playing more into that fun side of Owen 30.
Absolutely.
So we hope the folks out there, will give it a chance. If nothing else, we think it'll be a big hit with children and train show crowds to just like the 8 show and N scale and large scale examples, the animal heads bob in and out of the sides of the car as the car moves around the track, just purely on track power. It's a very ingenious design that adds a lot of fun animation to your layout, and it's also got a variety of animals that you can choose from. We've got the Rio Grande number 5600, the black car there, which has cattle that peek in and out of the car. We've got the Colorado and Southern with horses. We're also offering a painted and lettered oxide red with horses to put your road name of choice on that car. And as I was saying, with the whimsical side of Owen 30 and Christmas layouts, we had to offer a North Pole and Southern reindeer transport car.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, in addition to these, we also have a track cleaning tank car, or a track cleaning tank car. This is going to be using basically the same tank car design as our tank car that we already have at the ON30 line, but it's going to have the addition of our very popular and very effective dry cleaning pads underneath that'll help keep the track clear of dirt, residue, and anything else that may impede the smooth operation of your trains. So to give you an idea of what they look like, I do have a sample of the non-track cleaning version here. This is the East Broadtop, which is available currently in our East Broadtop freight train set. It's a really nicely detailed car. It's got you can tell it's got a flat car base with a tank built on top of that, nice wood grain texture, and having a track cleaning version will ensure that you can run one of these cars and actually have a purpose for it as well, other than just looking good on your layout.
Absolutely. I feel like we've been using absolutely a lot on this stream, which
And
is
very
which is
cool. I
good.
think I've been saying very cool a lot too.
Yeah, we're in agreement, which is a good thing. But I don't know about all of you out there. One of my least favorite things about having a model railroad is having to constantly clean the track to keep things running smoothly. So the track cleaning car takes the all the elbow grease hard work out of that, and it's been a hit for us in HO scale and N scale. Our track cleaning cars. It was only a matter of time to bring them to ON30, and we've got two unique and prototypical paint schemes. With the Durango and Silverton fire suppression car, with the fire suppression lettering in red there. We also got the White Pass and Yukon, number 53. This is a car that they use as an auxiliary water supply when they run steam locomotives during their modern day operations on the White Pass. I have to say, I think this is the first time we've offered a blue freight car in ON30. It's not a color you
It probably
see
is,
every
yeah.
day.
Especially that kind of ocean blue.
Yeah, on a narrow gauge railroad in particular. It's prototypical though, and for those of you who want to customize it for your own railroad or maintenance of way department, we've got two options for that: a painted and lettered silver and black.
Yep, these are
So,
once again very cool cars, and just a brief note for people who aren't necessarily familiar with ON30. ON30 is O scale narrow gauge, but it runs on HO scale track. So the HO scale track is representative of prototypical narrow gauge track that's thinner than or has a smaller gauge than the standard track that mainline trains or full size trains use.
yeah, it's a very unique subcategory of model railroading that's created. We've seen all of the very creative and highly detailed ON30 modeling efforts out there, from scratch building to layouts. So we're
And
happy to continue supporting the ON30 community.
absolutely. And just another note on the track cleaning pad as well. It's all well and good for us to tell you that these work really well, but we can attest to how well they work, because whenever we bring a layout to a train show, we have trains running all day for 2 to 3 days of these nonstop at these shows, and the way that they continue running without any issues is we have a track cleaning car on one of the trains that just constantly clears the track with these dry cleaning pads, and it really has since we introduced those, it's really cut down on the amount of issues and maintenance that's been required at these high demand running situations.
Yeah, they really do work. It's a without any track cleaning solution or anything like that, they get the job done. And finally, last but not least, we've come to the large scale announcements, and we've got some pretty cool stuff
Yes, we do.
for our announcements.
So we have in rolling stock, we have the two-bay offset hopper. This is our latest 129 scale addition to the line. Like our other 129 scale freight cars, it's designed to represent standard gauge, and also just like our other 129 scale cars that we've done, it's being offered in 2 road numbers each for the road names that we're producing, which are Baltimore and Ohio, Southern Railway, Santa Fe, and then we also have a painted unlettered black, and we're only doing one of those because two unlettered black cars would be kind of redundant.
Yes, these were a very common hopper car. I believe they were first built in the late 1920s, early 1930s to an AAR standard plan. So it was something that was adopted by many railroads, particularly those that had large scale coal operations, such as the Baltimore and Ohio. But you could find them from coast to coast, to the southeast with the Southern, to out west with the Santa Fe. So these are 1 to 29 scale, same as our recent large-scale diesel locomotive releases, the Dash 9, the upcoming GP40, as well as the other freight cars, the 3-bay hopper and the Evans boxcar that we've offered. So they'll fit right in along with our previous modern diesel-era large-scale models. And these have metal wheels and working knuckle couplers.
And we also have a removable coal, if I can get it out, a removable coal load as well.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to keep it in, and it's a very realistic looking load. We don't have a sample of it to show yet. Hopefully we'll be able to show something in a couple of months, but we've seen when this was an Aristocraft's product, we've seen the previous examples, and it's a very fine looking car that we're happy to have in our line now.
Absolutely. And now you got me in my head here, because I'm tallying every time I say absolutely.
I shouldn't have mentioned it. But, we're going to push ahead into the last samples that I have on hand here, and this is something that's a new kind of subcategory of our large-scale line, which is building kits. This is our large-scale covered bridge kit, one of the two that we're offering in this announcement.
And in case you were wondering just how big it is, you can see Tyler actually had to roll back in the chair there to get it fully in the shot.
Yes, I'd say this is about 18, 20 inches long. It is designed for use with track. We found that with our own large-scale brass track and track from other manufacturers, it slots right in between the bridge timbers, so you can lay your track right for the bridge. These models are going to be available in kit form, pre-painted, assembly required. Just because it's such a massive product, it just makes more sense to offer it as a kit. But we have I have a sample of the other one here as well, the covered station platform.
I love this one.
Yeah, perfect for your branch lines, and rural stations. So look out for those sometime next year.
And we also have another new addition, which we don't have samples of to show, but that's our Christmas crossbucks. We've produced a variation of these in the past, but this is going to be a new version with slightly different paint decoration. This is going to have a green and red railroad crossing sign, and we know large scale, in addition to being used by modelers in garden railroading and outdoors, it's also very commonly used for Christmas displays, whether it's around the tree or on a separate display. And these Christmas crossbucks will be a perfect addition to those scenes. And they come complete with a little snowy mound at their base to keep them upright.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the red and green lettering on this re-release. It really makes makes those signs pop out.
It does. So that just about concludes our announcements. About an hour and a half later here, but if we haven't worn through your patience entirely, we'll do a couple more things. We'll finish up our Q&A, try and answer a few more questions, and we're also going to explain a little bit about what we have on the back page here. This is a new, not a new product, but a new development in the way we're categorizing our products. And this is the Bachmann icon system. So we're kind of soft launching it here with the brochure, but expect to see it in its full form in our catalog for 2025. This is just basically it'll give you an easier and way to browse our products and to find exactly what you're looking for with handy icons such as for what type of lighting it has, or what type of coupling system, whether it has an operating pantograph or a removable load. And then perhaps more valuable to choosing locomotives or cars that you want to buy, especially if you're modeling a particular era. We've also come up with an era system to categorize our models in, which starts with 1827 to 1860, which is early railroading. Models that I don't know if we have anything in our line right now that fits in that era, but certainly models we've made in the past, such as the John Bull and the Lafayette would fit into that category. We have then 1860 to 1910, which is the pioneer era. That's perfect for your old Western scenes or Civil War. And then you've got 1910 to 1940, which is the golden era. That's what was commonly known in reality as the golden era for railroading, with when American railroads reached their peak in the number of miles that were operated, and when some of the most spectacular steam locomotives roamed the rails. We also then have 1940 to 1970, which is the transition era, which, as it sounds, is the transition era between steam to diesel and electric power. And then we have 1970 to 1990, which is the second generation era, so named because it was the second generation of diesel locomotives after the first generation, which were very much trial and error. This is where diesel power kind of hit its stride. And then you've got 1990 to 2024, which is the modern era. And I like that starts in 1990 because that's the year I was born, which means I'm still relevant. I'm still modern. But no, it just makes sense. That's when wide cab diesel locomotives started becoming the dominant style of locomotive on mainline railroads, and there were a lot more technological advances in railroading that really made it an era of its own. And below that, we also have what we discussed earlier, which is the P symbol, which signifies if a locomotive in our line is being represented in the same form that it exists in today, in its if it's in a preserved status. So that'll apply more to historic locomotives rather than modern locomotives and rolling stock.
Well done. I think it's a very great system. The feature icons, kind of help summarize, all the great features that each Bachmann locomotive and piece of rolling stock offers. And the eras will hopefully, for those of you who are just getting started in model railroading, you may not have the breadth of prototype railroad knowledge. Hopefully this will kind of help you put together what trains are appropriate for the area you're modeling Of course, you can always mix and match too. It's your railroad. It's up to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
If
And
you want to run your Acela Express side by side with a old time 440 American, you do you.
all right, so we are going to wrap up here, I think, with just a little bit more Q&A. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll go for the Q&A. We'll knock out questions for another 5 or 10 minutes or so. If we didn't get to your questions tonight, we apologize. It's been a long stream, a lot of questions, a lot of great questions. If you didn't get your question answered, you can always comment on the YouTube video after the live stream ends, comment on our Facebook page, or send us an email at info@bachmanntrains.com. So I've got a question here. Any New Haven products? Nothing in this new announcements brochures you just saw. We do have a couple of pieces of New Haven rolling stock available right now in HO scale. Just an HO scale right now, and only rolling stock, no locomotives. But we may have some more stuff to offer in 2025. Stay tuned for that. You can see what we have in stock right now at our website, bachmanntrains.com.
I have a question here regarding the Heislers. Any chance that we can do cast number 6? So the Heisler that we have in ON30 is it's a narrow gauge prototype, and it's actually a very small one, much smaller than cast number 6. So it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for that model, unfortunately. But it's certainly something we'll look into if we do an HO scale version that's appropriate for that. I have another question here about whether we'll be offering Bluetooth DCC decoders to add to locomotives. So that's not something that we offer, but Soundtrax is working on their Bluenami system, and I believe that is going to be a plug-and-play system for any locomotive that is DCC ready. So you should be able to install those into any Bachmann DCC ready locomotive.
Got a question. What is the progress on the Taliflin railway models? Taliflin locomotives are in production right now. They're currently scheduled to arrive in December. And then the Taliflin carriages, passenger carriages to match them, are scheduled to arrive in 2025.
Yeah. For those of you, I just happen to have a pair of them right here.
There they are. We're really looking forward to those.
Absolutely, yeah. 2 different body styles there. I'm very tempted to get into more detail about these because I do like this project, but I think we're running a little short on time, so I'll leave it at that for now. Let's see. Have we considered a new run of the 040s or 042 porters in ON30 with sound? It's not impossible for the future. Like we always say, if a model's been in our line in the past, it's more than likely to show up again in our line in the future. If it meets the quality standards of today's models, and since we have such a long history of models, I can't say that about everything going back to the 40s and the 50s, 60s, but certainly for models of the recent generations, with that there's certainly a chance. And if it does come back, it would more than likely probably come with sound.
Any last minute questions? I think we've covered a lot of the ones that we can answer besides just general product requests. Again, you can always send those to info@bachmanntrains.com. We do monitor that email address regularly and use it to help gauge the market on what modelers are looking for right now. And we're also, as I mentioned, going to be offering a project request survey in the near future.
We are. So if you have anything that you want to see modeled, and that there are others out there who want to see that modeled too, when we announce it on our social media, definitely send in your responses and share it to anybody else you know. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about you, Tyler, but I'm I'm about ready for dinner here. Yeah, actually, you had your dinner. You're good. You're good.
Yes, I planned ahead.
You did, but, yeah. Me not so much. So I think this might be a good place to end it here.
Yes, it's been a very long but very very fun live stream. It's always great to do these with you, Matt, and it's great to have all of you tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. So thank you very much for watching with us.
Absolutely, yeah. We're always happy to engage with our Bachmann fans out there. And at the end of the day, we're all model railroaders. It's always a pleasure to come together and just talk trains. So with that, I think we'll see you next time.
Yes, take care.
All right, bye.